So there was um there was some frustration out there.
It was obvious.
Well, okay, so first of all, about an hour in, Adventures with Purpose moved their equipment out, but I think the family, rightfully so, is like has some questions, like how is the car right there?
Yeah.
Like how is it right there? And like because they were told, at least it was told to me, they were told that this area has like been officially swept and it's clear, and like um they were dialing back the investigation. So had investors with purpose not come, who knows what happened with this case? And then there was, it was said it was like how in 30 minutes is this car found? And uh and I he got that question got asked many several times to those same people that you saw at the press conference that got asked yesterday to them um, in with a bit of frustration, and I think that and they said like well we need to learn how Adventures with Purpose you know what their technique was to find it that quick I then so when that was happening and these questions got asked more than a couple times. Then they came to me and to David, and they started asking about the notification, not about how I notified, but about like they didn't ask. They were making statements that like, oh well, it was done by social media or something. And then I heard uh, there's some stuff here I got to be careful about, but I think that I don't think that I
So
don't
it
think
had
it's
to do
as
with how information about Kylie got out to the public.
yeah, but I don't think that it's safe to assume that a call wasn't made to the mother. I think they're separating it. At least the family is, I believe, like the call with Adventures with Purpose, and they expected a call from law enforcement, and I know that expected call went quite a ways, and that got asked about. Then the narrative kind of they seem to go on offense a little bit, and that's what I saw today. I and I don't care if they're listening in on that. And
And
so when the family stuff came in, I don't know. Like I felt like it was very much a like we're not getting credit for the work type of thing. And I think that's stuff that can be worked out down the line. Like right now, I mean, they just found her. Um, I don't think Adventures with Purpose was trying to like take. I mean, yeah, they said, "Listen, we found her. We did our job," and I'm not saying law enforcement didn't do their job. They did. Like once they found when she was found, they were meticulous in their investigation that I saw. So, but I just felt like today was kind of like, and I felt even kind of at me. There was some shade thrown with the notification, the way they said the notification thing. Well, you know, what was that family supposed to? How long were they? When we left last night after her grandfather said, "I just want to see the car, and then we'll go." And that was a good. I don't know, 6 hours. We were there. They still would not say that. Um, they're like, we can't say that there's, you know, like we can't make a notification to you because we don't know who if that there's a person in there. I mean, well, they did know at that point. They're like, we just know there's remains. So, how at what point would have they? I know that they made a notification when they were digging up a dog grave, but I don't know why. Like how long it takes for them to. How long would it taken for them to notify the family? Anyways,
well,
because
I
once
I
they
think a phone call takes about 10 seconds. That's the thing I didn't
well,
understand.
yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is like, at what point do they say, okay, we've got enough suspicion here that this is her that we let the family know, hey, we're working a the car has been found. It appears to be a body inside. I don't know when that call. Well, I'm not super thrilled with them either. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm super grateful they found her. I think that the notification process was bad. I think them throwing the family and other people under the bus on that is I think it all could have been done correctly.
When you say throw under the bus, what do you mean?
Yeah, I didn't see
Well,
them throw
I'm a little
anybody under the
confused
bus.
with that.
That's why I'm confused with all that.
Well, because
thing, 'cause
they're saying that the family was notified, and they're saying the family's lying about being notified.
they were notified. I mean, they were notified the
That's
way that
their-
the contact info that they had, we seen. They notified the people that they had, and we saw them tell the dad too.
But but I told the dad and brought the dad there.
Because you were contacted, correct?
That was you in
No,
the AWP
no.
video?
Yes,
Why was your face blurred out?
because they know I'm going to tell.
Oh, that was
the truth.
you.
Yes.
I didn't even realize that
Well,
was
if
you.
they
that
know
was
you're going to
blurred
tell the
out.
truth, they're not
Oh.
going to
I knew that
still
was him. Yeah.
post
Oh, I
it.
did. Wow. Okay, I'm a little slow now. I didn't realize that was you that was blurred out. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like
But
When you said they notified me or whatever, or I don't know, that is not how somebody I work with in Tennessee saw it. An analyst I work with, DX Mystery, she saw it on Facebook, and it had been published like 28 minutes earlier. I got the call from her at 2:48 p.m. So she said, and I was standing right in front of him. She's like, it's on all over Facebook. They found her. I was like, oh my God. And so I had to tell them, and then we went down there, and then so I know everybody's saying, "Oh, they told her," but that's not how it happened. It had been out for 25, minutes. I don't know how they got the contact people numbers of the ones they did, but that's not her like blood relatives, and the relatives.
that's the number that they had, though. They didn't have the.
Who did they get it from?
I don't know, but that's probably the only contact that they had, because that's what they showed. I mean, they were supposed to probably supposed to reach out and contact the other people. So when did they actually find the car? Because I heard it was 2 hours later.
Well, so I watched their documentary or whatever today, and if you look on their sonar, it has time on there, and some of the time says 12, 11, and then there's other that says 3:30. So they obviously filmed. Some of that is just acting. They just filmed it after the fact.
Maybe they were waiting to. But do you look at it? Why don't you look at it like they found it at like around noon, and they contacted people, and they waited for everybody to be informed before they did anything. That makes sense to me. That they waited. That's what. That way you're asking them to wait, and wasn't that what they were doing? They were.
Well, so they put in the thing. When he's on the phone, it says Lori on the bottom of the screen, Laurie, and I put a statement out that I received from Lori saying she never received a call. I don't know what Lori? That's who they said they called, the aunt. Now they edited that out. They edited that out, and they're saying, "Oh, we did that at the request of the family," but they edited it out because the statement came out. So I don't know. I would just wish they would say, "Listen, they did a fantastic thing. They did an amazing thing." She would be a cold case if it was not for Adventures with Purpose.
Yeah,
there is no doubt, but. Why now the family just feels like now we've got the whole internet
Omnius ban Walshy
turned against us because they think we're ungrateful when that's not the case. They're just like, we never gotten, to this date, they've never heard from them, and law enforcement never got a call. They learned about it on the internet. on
Who,
Facebook.
who is
Listen, I know they have Detective Sonier's phone number. I know they do because they were talking. They were in contact with him before. He gave them the ping location and everything. I don't know why they didn't get called.
Steve,
But they're also
why
saying-
didn't the? Oh, I'm sorry.
But
Can we look at the timeline again? What we just
Yeah.
talked about. So 12 o'clock is when they probably found her, right? And they
Well,
didn't
in the
notify
debrief-
you. Didn't know about
yeah.
it until what? Almost 3.
2:48.
They probably waited a couple hours before they posted it online because they probably contacted the family, waited for family to get a hold of law enforcement, all that to happen. They waited 2 hours. It sounds like I think that's a good amount of time to expect the grade in. I think it was the grade had the contact number that they had. They did what they were supposed to. They called the contact number and they gave them 2 hours before they probably posted anything, right? So why is that? I don't understand how that's wrong. That's 2 hours. It sounds like almost.
If they could show they did that,
Well, you just
Check
so
your
we
phone.
know there was a time
No.
between 12 and then 3, right?
right? But I don't know that. Listen, they haven't produced anybody. If they could get whatever Lori,
That's
here's
weird.
the thing.
They probably
Here's the
trusted they
thing:
had
the volunteer the trailer where all the volunteers checked in and you picked up water and all the maps, right? Was right at the entrance of Prosser. The family was living there in a trailer. Family there 24/7. It's very easy to get their number. Their number was posted on the side of the trailer. So I don't know.
Yeah, but they went by the number that they had because he did explain the difference between Lori and Lori.
Does this
Okay, but
name
how did they get the number? One of them's in Chicago.
does this name
I
ring a
mean-
bell?
If the
Mhm.
family made any attempt to get a hold of AWP when they got there, when they arrived.
No, because they only knew through social media. Like, first of all, keep in mind, I mean, this is a family that is brand new to this. Like, people like us are around this a lot and have heard these names like that. They have no idea. You know, people are trying to get EquiSearch and everything out there. They're hearing all these names. You know, so they don't have any contact with AWP, and they only hear what people are saying online, you know, like when they're going to be arriving. And they said, I think they changed their timeline to Thursday, but then they like broke an axle or something. Then they were coming Friday. Nobody knew exactly, you know, when they were going to be there. So
But they were
Homeboy.
excited. I mean, they were hopeful. They wanted
Say
them
homeboy.
to help.
The only conversation I had with them before was they asked me if AWP was legit. That's all they.
How you came to be involved and became their private investigator?
I'm not their private investigator.
Kiki said whoever planned this operation is definitely fired.
I'm not retained by them. I work a lot of these cases on a pro bono basis. I just fly around and I do it on a volunteer basis. I went up there. I was
Start over, homeboys here.
going through the woods and around Prosser and everything, and I got to know the family simply by going to the volunteer trailer. They were there all the time. You know,
That's it.
that on that day on Sunday, I had heard from Kiely's grandfather early in the morning, like 6 a.m. And he said, "Hey, would you meet me at Coldstream, which is meaning that's their lodge, at 6 p.m. tonight?" He's like, "I just want to talk about like what can we do, you know, like what are," and I said, "Sure." So I was going out searching, and then now at that time, at that moment, he was at a different property he has, so he had like email access. And so then about 12:45, I got an email from him. He just has a flip phone, so he doesn't text or anything. I got an email from him, and it just said Prosser 1 p.m. That's all it said. But so I was already out there, and was like, okay, and so I was at the area kind of below the party location. You know, like at that point, you know, where she was found. If you follow the beach down, then there's another point like that. It was kind of in between the two on a road, and I ran across the road, and I ran across David, or he ran across me. I was parked and searching, and he's like, "Hey," and so we started chatting, and then about I actually then sent a drone up while we were talking, and then about 4 or 5 minutes, and I could see Adventures with Purpose actually, and about 4 or 5 minutes later, a quad runner comes up, the guy in the helmet, but he's got like a flat jacket and he's got a pistol on. So I'm like, oh, okay, so this is gonna be the feds telling me take the drone down, get. And he gets off, he takes the helmet off, and it's Daniel, it's her father.
Okay.
And so who I'd met before, so he's like, hey, so we all started talking, and we were there for at least a good hour or so, and then they had not seen the photos. The photos that Sammy had put out. There's one that's like a kind of like a panoramic, like the 20 or 30 kids, in the forest, which kind of looks like
Right.
like 1990s Nirvana type. So I was showing them that photo and a couple of the others. Or actually, I was telling them about it, and they had not seen it. So I showed it to them, and what we decided we were going to do is they wanted to go find those trees, those exact trees that were in that photo, and see if that was actually taken up there. So we were mapping that out, and just as we were getting ready to get in the car and go up there, I got a call from DX at 2:48, and I answered the phone, and she, I just tell the tone of her voice, and she's like, have you heard? And I was like, what? And she's kind of like slowly like backing into it. I'm like, just tell me what is it? And I turned my back, and she's like, Adventures with Purpose, put out a Facebook post that they found her. And so I was like, okay. And so then I hung up, and I turn around, and but I could see like activity. So it ends up that they put it out 30 minutes before, but I could see like these people like in the campgrounds were like starting to look. So I just turned around and I said, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but it's out on social media, but they found Kiely, and she's in the water. And it was heartbreaking. And they and they said, where is she? Where is she? And I said, she's, there, I know that they're right down on the point. And so we went down there. Daniel jumped on his quad runner and screamed down there, and David got in his truck, and I got in mine, and we were only quarter, 3/8 of a mile away. We pulled up, and I watched the Adventure with Purpose thing for the first time today. I've seen people screenshot clips, but I didn't want to watch it. But I watched it just for the sake of doing this. And when you see Daniel riding up on the quad runner, and that's how they were notified. And then David, who's her grandfather, who's her mom's father, used my phone to call his wife to tell her. And
do you know how her mom found out?
I was told I have not talked to her mom. But I was told by her dad, the grandfather, that she found out friends on social media when she was eating. And I know I did hear from the grandmother for the first time last night. She emailed me about something, and she confirmed that that's how she found out as well, through friends from social media. So I know there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, the dad and grandfather were with Adventures with Purpose," and I know they maybe edited it that way to look like it, but they, we found out on social media, he did. So when we arrived, first of all, I want to say, I want to preface the whole thing by saying everybody is incredibly grateful and for them finding Kiely. They have unbelievable skills. I personally have some issues with what happened after that fact,
Sure.
And one of them has to do with like this tow truck driver. When we arrived, after I got the news from somebody I work with, and I had to tell her father and her grandfather, we went to where Adventures with Purpose was at because I knew I could see them. And I had no idea that they were mic'd up and cameras were rolling, and they were wearing microphones. And so Doug said, can I take you guys aside and talk to you? And
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that at no point did they say, "Hey, we're filming and we're making a documentary here"?
Oh.
So just to let you know, so they didn't even inform you that they were making a movie, that they were.
No idea. I mean, if I would have noticed that he was wearing a lapel microphone, which in that moment, there's so much going on. It's like, oh my God, she's right there at that buoy. It's the last thing I'm thinking about is that it's a reality show being filmed right now.
There's a question here.
Mm-hmm.
Says, how come AWP said that the dad was there within 90 seconds of them notifying the family?
That's if they said that, that's an incorrect statement. I can tell you, I know that I know on the Facebook, I know there was 4 edits to it apparently, but I think it first came out at like 2:28 or something like that. I can't remember, but at 2:48 is when I got the call, and we were probably there at 2:50. In fact, I, just because I'm an investigator, I like film everything.
Do you have video proof? Not everybody videotapes every single conversation.
But they do.
You know what I mean?
AWP does, though, and I wish they could show it. I'm not taking shots at them. I'm just telling you what the truth is. So obviously they were microphones, so that means everything that was said was caught on audio. So why not just release that and show? Because video always has time bars, time codes. Make sure nothing was edited out. Film everything. I have a video here. Let me see when it's timestamped. I have a video of us driving down, and you can see Daniel on the squad runner in front of us. Let me see when that's timestamped at.
Because people are saying, because in the video,
here it is.
They're saying they see. They're saying that they.
2:50. That's us driving down. It's time stamped August 21st, 2:50 p.m.
Okay. But yeah, people are saying that AWP, that in the video, you can see them calling the aunt and grandmother.
But they're in a boat when they do that, right? And I mean, when we arrive, I mean, Doug's on land. So
right.
You know what I mean? So here's the other thing. When I was watching that video today, their sonar has times on it. And there's timestamps at 12 something in the afternoon. So they say the next day, they said that they confirmed the car. They found the car and it was confirmed at 10:30, and they said it was confirmed at 11:15. So why they didn't call law enforcement at 11:15, I don't know. But in their own timestamps that I just noticed 30 minutes before we started this, on their sonar, it shows, one of them shows 12:10 p.m. and this is when he says he's going to make the phone call. And then, but the other one shows, and then when he tells everybody turn your phones off, I screenshot that, and that guy's phone, he shows him turning it off, is 12:16 p.m. But then they must have refilmed some stuff, because then their sonar starts showing 3 something p.m. So I think they refilmed scenes.
I have no doubt in my mind, because that's how those things are done. It was very professionally done.
I think
I'm not.
If they're talking about the 90 seconds, the only thing I can imagine is when we showed up, when we got there, they're like, "Who are you guys?" You know, and you know, they're like, Dino's like, "I'm her father," blah blah. And I explained to them, I said, you know, we just heard the news 2 minutes ago, you know, which is true. And we drove right down. So maybe he's saying from the time that I was notified, I don't know, but that Facebook post was out for at least 20 or 30 minutes because it's time stamped.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I got it quick. Because I'm very well informed by my moderators, and I also have good relations with very, very good and reputable YouTubers who have very good resources as well, and very quick to. So as soon as one YouTuber that I know got the news, boom, I got the text saying they found her, and that's when I saw the Facebook post.
So it's 2:48, and I can tell you when we got down there, and this is not knocking this person at all because that's their job, but I think that some notifications have been out to other people earlier, because I think they made the discovery around noon, because there was a New York Post photographer there when we arrived.
Yeah, and I think the first article I read was a New York Post. When I kept, because as soon as I got that text, I started looking up news. You know, I started Googling news, you know, to see what happened, and it was all, the source of that information was all, you know, allegedly they found her based on this Facebook post. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there were news sources that were quick to do that. I want to read this because you. This is one of your tweets that say, statement by David Robertson, grandfather of Kiely Rodni. Everyone, please stop this madness. Leave us alone. You are hurting our family. Grandpa Robertson. And then a statement by Lori Mae Herring, aunt to Kiely Rodni. Let this be known. Adventures with Purpose never contacted me, Aunt Lori, by phone or email. I return all missed calls. So that's a contradiction to what they said in their video, according to this statement. And this is a direct statement from her, you're saying? Let me finish reading it, though. Let me finish it. She says, I found out by my great niece when 2 friends sent me a text as it was posted on social media by AWP. I received an email from my brother, David Robertson, which is Grandpa Robertson, later that night informing me that she had been found. I am outraged that AWP say they contacted me, Laura Mae Herring.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a bit of a contradiction to what they said in the video, is it not?
So, and this is the thing where I'm just getting absolutely murdered online about.
Sorry,
first,
you know I'm going to bring it up. You know
no. I want to clarify this, because first of all, I just released the statement. He asked me to, and I'm not going to say no to the family. But here's the thing. So everybody's saying, well, it was Lori, Lori, who's her stepfather's sister, that they called. Okay, but the thing is that, remember when they came out and they said, well, out of respect for the family, we edited out the notification part. Well, that's because it said Lori, Lauri, on the screen that they were calling, not Lori.
Right.
So they edited it out because they were wrong. So why don't they just come out and say, yeah, you know what? We contacted a step parent's relative, not, and where I have the issue too is, and again, we're incredibly grateful they found her, but it throws the family under the bus when you're
Right.
calling them liars, and calling them liars through me, because these are their statements, and they're saying, and they were available. I don't know what they're talking about. They couldn't get a hold of me. The volunteer center, the family they were living there in a trailer. They were there 24/7. You had to drive by the volunteer center to get to Prosser. Why didn't they just stop? That's how I met the family. Why not just stop and introduce themselves and be like, hey, and they had their numbers written on the whiteboard on the trailer. I mean,
Right.
one of them they called was in Chicago, so I don't get that.
Yeah.
But if it was a mistake, just say, hey, yeah, you know what? We screwed up. We called the wrong Lori. We put the wrong Lori on screen. But people should understand that, like, there was nothing there's nothing vicious by the family or by me. He was just saying, listen, you put on the screen, you called Aunt Lori, Laure. Aunt Lori says she was never called. Now they're saying, oh, well, you're an idiot. They called Lori, Lori. I'm like, okay, well, can you see where the confusion is? I mean, that's not what it said on the screen, And they've never explained why they never contacted law enforcement, and they didn't. They didn't show it in a phone call. They didn't show it in law enforcement. They found this car at noon or earlier. They were there filming it for 3 hours before they made an announcement, and that's, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not.
Law enforcement has told me that they have no record of them calling. They learned about it on Facebook. I've had contact with the agency since.
So law enforcement agencies, there's law enforcement officers that have told you this directly, that's how they found out.
But they said was they could have called some inside line to somebody maybe they had a number for, but they certainly didn't call the non-emergency or the 911 line and report it. They learned about it on social media. After AWP left, I don't think it's a secret that the FBI, and especially Nevada County and Placer County, came over to us, and they were really troubled by the notification process. They were like, this is not how it was supposed to happen. They said, we talked to them, we shared data with them, confidential data, and we had an agreement, and this is not how it was supposed to happen. We were supposed to be notified, and they were pissed. They were really pissed. And I think that came out in that news conference the next day, Right. So I hear a lot of people saying, oh, you had no right to be with the family or to tell the family. You should have let Adventures with Purpose tell them. Well, I had no choice. So, like, it was, but beyond that, like, they're like, oh, you're just trying to bed yourself with the family. Well, first of all, I mean, I got a really heartfelt letter from them. They're very glad that they did not hear about this on social media. Like they were told,
when we were there, and this is while Daniel was still there in that hour and a half before it took law enforcement a while to get out there, just because they're spread out,
Right.
And I think the FBI was, one of the local police departments, not the sheriff's, it showed up first, and then the FBI, and then the sheriff started showing up. But while we're waiting for them, I could see Doug and the camera people down on the shoreline, where they clearly were like doing a take over and over, So I was like, are they like, and it took about 30 minutes before I realized there was cameras even there, because there was a lot of people, but you're just so like, you can't believe what's going on. You see the ball, the buoy out there, and you're like, the car's right
That
there.
door. Yeah.
So, but I could see them like retaking shots, and I even mentioned to her grandfather, I'm like, they're like creating a scene. You know, like redoing a scene over and over. And so anyway, to get back, what they did turn into a big deal was not long after we got there, maybe 5-6 minutes after we've been there, and they said, you know, the ball is where we found the car, and it's 14 feet of water. And then I did some of the imagery, and I came back, and then law enforcement was like, you know, they pretty quickly kicked Adventure with Purpose out.
Right.
Because,
So when we were talking to the FBI, so after Doug told us that, and the FBI had them leave,
they were pissed, rightfully so. They were pissed that it was announced on social media like it was.
Oh, that she was found?
Yeah, because the family hadn't been informed.
Right.
So, you know, like, you know, I get the call. Now, keep in mind, you know, we're like 300 yards away. I can see Adventures with Purpose down below. I can see their trailer and stuff out there. David and Daniel really have no idea who they are. They had heard their name, but I mean, this is all, they're not in this true crime community. They don't know really who these people are. They had asked me to like, is this a legitimate company, and or group, and I was like, yeah. So, you know, they're hearing these names, but they have a missing loved one. So I mean, they have so much in and out, and they're just like, they've been up for days. I mean, literally, they had, when they announced they were coming to town, or they like had changed the days that are coming earlier. They contacted an advocate that they knew that knew me, and they asked about the drone footage that I had shot and about high res copies of it and stuff. So I called that person back, and I just said, listen, they're asking like, is their reputation solid and whatnot? And I had heard their name, but I didn't know any of their backstory. And so she was like, yeah. So I just passed that along. And so when we were out there, you know, all of a sudden we were talking, you know, I had gone out there and I met David, and then Daniel, just, we didn't have any plans to meet him. He was just out there on a quadrant or searching, and he came up on us, and we were talking for like an hour, and we were, I actually had some, another private investigator I work with who's in Tennessee. She was sending us, copies of those images of the party photos. You know, there was those ones with like the kids, and like the lighting was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Background. Yep. And what we do is we got copies of those, and we were gonna go up because, you know, we're on the there's like, well, that inner road, everybody's seen it now. There's you know, that road that goes kind of all the way around the reservoir. Yes. And we were there, and we were gonna go up to the location where the party was and try and find those exact trees. I had some real questions, and I was like, you know, why don't we go? And I explained to them why, and then we all agreed, well, let's go try and find those trees. Like, if we could see if we can figure out if the background's real. And then all of a sudden I get a call from you know, Chloe, who at the time was going by DX the Mystery, but now she uses her name. She's a private investigator that I work with a lot, and she said, hey, she said, well, first she said, if I'm on speaker, take me off speaker. And I kind of stepped away, and she's like, have you guys heard? And I'm like, no, what? And then she kind of fumbled over her words. I'm like, just tell me what. And she's like, the Vegetable Purpose put on Facebook, they found her.
Oh.
And I looked over, I could see them over my shoulder, like 2 or 3. and I saw them placing cones in front of the RV. And so then I hung up the phone and I told them, and they're like, where are they? Where are they? And I'm like, well, that's actually their RV right there. And, you know, Daniel jumped on his quad runner and David
Went over there.
I followed, and we took us 30 seconds at most to get there. And, you know, what you see that video, like, of the, you know, everybody arriving, coming down the hill is true. And then, you know, that's where it'll start. But yeah, they announced it on Facebook first.
Right.
And so law enforcement was really pissed about that. They're like, you know, you didn't call law enforcement, you didn't call family. So they booted them out pretty quick. And so we didn't, you know, so and then they came over, and when law enforcement came over and was talking to us individually, at that point, Daniel was gone. It was just me and David. You know, they at least asked me, they're like, you know, what did Adventures with Purpose tell you? And I told them about the Nick thing, and you know, and that's when they said, you know, Nick the AAA driver, and I was like,
So in this article from New Yorker, how an amateur diver became a true crime sensation, it tells the story of Jared and AWP, but more from Jared's point of view. So in this article, they interviewed also Steve Fisher, who is a private investigator, who's not really a private investigator, at least not in California. And somehow Kiely Rodni's family hangs around with this loser who just gaslights, manipulates, and lies and spreads misinformation. And here he tells how they learned AWP had found Kiely Rodni's car and body. And it really amazes me how Steve Fisher always changes the story. It's like he can't keep his story straight. Now he's saying he's on the hills, watching to the water, AWB searching the car with family. So I'm just like there, like, what? Now you are on the hills looking at the water, and you heard AWP is coming. So what's up with that? Were you spying on them? And why the fuck did you go and have a look like, hi, here we are, Kiely Rodni's family and private investigator, and nice to meet you. But no, they chose not to go and watch from the hills and then tried to act all victim. Oh, they didn't contact when we saw on film. Yeah, they contact. So why this fucking lie about a simple thing? Why this family constantly needs to twist the truth? I don't think the family has anything to do with death of Kiely Rodni, but this kind of shit that they steer all the time and hangs with this loser, Steve Fisher, who lies all the time and attacks on Twitter everybody who try to bring facts. Why they do that? And then they try to act all victim. Oh, we are getting shit online. Well, maybe because you are telling lies. Yeah, are you surprised? First, Lindsay she's not there after one day. And then it's abduction story. And after 12 hours, there was already a GoFundMe for reward. And then when AWP came on Friday, the family changed the GoFundMe description to say the money goes to the family. Why? This is a very long article, so I'm gonna just highlight the part where Steve Fisher tells about them, how AWB part. That day, Rodney's father and grandfather were at Prosser Reservoir with Steve Fisher, a private investigator, who doesn't have license, by the way, in California. They had heard rumors of AWP's arrival, but no one in the group had spoken to anyone in the family. Well, the family didn't want anyone to contact them. Maybe that's why. Lindsay wasn't on social media. It was said that she was in heavily protected from media and law enforcement even. Why? No one knows. And they had and here he tells they had heard rumors of AWP's arrival. Well, it was big news. Everybody was waiting them. Even I think law enforcement even acknowledged them coming. So I think it was more than just rumors, at least if you are any sort of paying attention what's going on in this case, and you claim to be a private investigator. Think now. So why they didn't contact AWP? I mean, Steve Fisher is a private investigator or claims to be. Why the fuck didn't he contact AWP and made the arrangement between? Was it because Steve Fisher was money-hungry grifter and he wanted to be the one who finds Kiely Rodni? Could be the reason Steve Fisher didn't want any rivals there. Maybe. As they stood on a hill overlooking the water, Fisher's colleague, I believe she's the ex-mystery from Tennessee, called to tell them that AWP Adventures with Purpose had just announced on Facebook that it had found Rodney's Honda CR-V in the reservoir with her body inside. Well, that's not true because we know AWP called to the dad on video. We had dad's voice getting the news that AWP found her car. And why they were on the hill overlooking to the water? Were they spying? I mean, it sounds spying on AWP. Didn't they want AWP finding her? And they were like, oh my god, are they gonna find her? Like, what is the reason they didn't go to the shoreline? I mean, AWP has huge production crew with them. AWP has editors and production workers who are by the shore. So why they didn't go over there and say, hey, we are the family and we would like to have a talk with AWP in case you find something. Like, and first Fisher was telling this apparently bullshit story that, oh, we were somewhere in the woods and I happened to meet the grandpa and then came the dad and we just coincidentally met on this road by the sanctuary. And now it seems like, oh wait, we were on the hill overlooking to the water where AWP were looking at the body of the car. As the news spread through Truckee, there was criticism that the group had rushed to post on Facebook before officials confirmed the identity of the remains. Well, officials never confirmed the identity of the remains until they have confirmed, like, officially. It could take days, maybe even weeks. So, of course, they are gonna post the news on Facebook because they are search group. Any law enforcement or search group would post some kind of post. The only difference is they can say, like, yeah, it was Kiely, because law enforcement always have to wait for the official confirmation. But in the autopsy we found out that nobody actually identified Kiely Rodni's body, so not really sure how they officially confirmed the identity of the remains. Rodni's mother heard about what had happened from a server at the restaurant. Yeah, she was eating sushi while AWP were putting their wetsuits and diving suits and doing the dirty work, looking for her daughter, where she was having lunch. She told her father, David Robertson, that she felt the group had made a spectacle of her daughter's death. Was it because you, Lindsay, wanted to be your spectacle, your story? It was your story to tell. Not really sure why, but you seem quite selfish person. AWP claims that it contacted a distant relative. Well, actually, it wasn't a distant relative. It wasn't their fault, like the law enforcement or someone had gave them false information. And nobody in the family wanted to pick up phone. And if AWP contacted dad and Lindsay's dad, then why the fuck didn't Grandpa call to Lindsay? Like, or Steve Fisher call Lindsay, hey, the body has been found. Like, can this family do anything? They are just waiting to be some royals and they are coming some red carpet, like, oh, there comes the Kiely Rodni's family. Like, they are not the story here. Kiely Rodni is. She is the victim here, not the family. Like, I can empathize that they have lost their dear daughter and granddaughter, but their action speaks so differently. Lindsay is hugging Sammy just, 3-4 days after she had gone missing. One day after there was GoFundMe, and everybody is praising law enforcement who didn't found Kiely Rodni for 2 weeks. But is very mad about AWP. It doesn't make any sense. Rodni's ex-boyfriend accused the group of cloud chasing. Yeah, Jagger, you are the cloud chasing, trying to chase Ryan up chairs to race cars with you. So shut up. But most people credit Zimmer's as heroes. Yay, that's the spirit. Love is there with hospitality. It seems that in Truckee there are some decent people. Like, that's the spirit. Like, I want to hear from that town. They praise somebody praising AWP. We couldn't pay for a meal, one of them told me. Law enforcement agents had devoted nearly 20,000 hours to search for Rodni, and AWP said that it had found her within an hour of putting a boat in the pressure reservoir. So, which of these stories Steve Fisher said is the right one? Because if you have to lie about so simple things, then what is really going on? Why the lies? Why the lies?